There are moments when someone seems interested but never quite says it outright, especially when dealing with avoidant personalities. Their desire for closeness hides beneath layers of caution. They won't announce what they feel, but they leave behind secret signals, clues that they want you to notice, hints that they're ready for you to step closer. Understanding these signals is the difference between misreading their silence and recognizing an unspoken invitation. When it comes to avoidance, one of the most revealing yet easily overlooked signals lies in the way their body language shifts when they're secretly hoping you'll take the lead. On the surface, they often appear reserved, controlled, and even distant, as though their personal space is a fortress no one is meant to cross. But if you observe closely, something subtle begins to change when they want you to make a move. Their posture, once closed off, begins to soften. Instead of turning away, they angle their body toward you without even realizing it. Their arms may stay uncrossed longer than usual, their stance less rigid, their gestures slightly more open. For someone who guards themselves so carefully, these small adjustments are powerful hints that they're comfortable enough to let you in. You'll notice this in the little ways they occupy space around you. An avoidant might lean back when they feel threatened or pressured, but when they want you closer, they lean just slightly toward you, even if it's not obvious. They might sit near you when other options are available, brushing closer when passing by, or subtly eliminating the physical barriers between you. These are not random choices, they're unconscious expressions of desire. By giving you access to their physical space, they're signaling that they're open to more. It's their way of whispering, "I want you near me," without ever saying the words. It's also telling in the way they slow down around you. Avoidants often carry themselves with a certain guarded pace, as if always in control of their movements, but when they linger, when they allow moments to stretch rather than rushing away, it's a clue that they're inviting connection. Their body will betray what their words won't. A pause at the door, a hesitation before leaving, a slight shift closer when you're speaking. These moments are subtle, but they're deliberate. This openness doesn't mean they've lost their cautious nature. It means they're testing the waters. They want to see if you notice, if you'll respond, if you'll step into the space they've quietly created for you. They won't announce their interest out loud because that feels too vulnerable, too risky. But through body language, through the closeness, the softened stance, the absence of resistance, they're showing you that the barriers are lower than usual. For an avoidant, that is no small gesture. It's an unspoken invitation, a signal that they're ready for you to bridge the gap and make the move they're hoping for. Eye contact is one of the most telling secret signals avoidants give when they're quietly hoping you'll make a move. Normally, someone with avoidant tendencies avoids lingering gazes because it feels too intense, too exposing, almost like revealing more than they're comfortable with. To them, locking eyes for too long can feel like surrendering control, and control is something they fiercely guard. But when they're drawn to you, that control begins to slip, even if just for a second. They might glance at you when they think you're not paying attention, and the moment you catch them, they'll quickly look away. To most people, it just looks like shyness or distraction, but in reality, it's a silent invitation. They're curious, interested, and waiting to see if you notice. The beauty of this signal lies in its subtlety. Avoidants won't hold a deep gaze to make their feelings obvious. Instead, they'll test the waters with fleeting moments. Their eyes might soften when they meet yours, even if only briefly. It's not just about how long they look, but about the quality of that look. There's often warmth hidden in the quickness, a softness in the way they return to your face, even after pulling away. They want to connect, but they're hesitant, so they let their eyes do the talking in short bursts of courage. You might notice this most when the environment feels safe. In quiet moments, when it's just the two of you, their glances may grow more frequent. They may look at your mouth when you're speaking, only to divert their gaze the instant you pause. They may scan your face, noticing details as though they're memorizing you, but never quite allowing the gaze to linger long enough to feel caught. This is their way of both concealing and revealing at the same time, shielding themselves with quick retreats while still expressing what they feel. And here's the key: they want you to take the hint. That stolen glance, that almost accidental eye lock, is their way of signaling that the door is open if you choose to walk through. They won't take the risk of holding on too long, but they leave behind traces for you to follow. When you return the look with reassurance, when you smile softly or hold their gaze just a moment longer, you're giving them the safety they crave. For an avoidant, eye contact is not just about looking, it's about trust. And when they trust you enough to let their eyes linger, even briefly, it's one of the clearest signals that they're waiting for you to step forward. One of the most powerful signs that an avoidant wants you to make a move is when they start breaking their own rules. Avoidants are creatures of habit when it comes to emotional boundaries. They build invisible walls, keep people at a safe distance, and follow strict personal codes to avoid feeling vulnerable. These rules are their safety net, the structure that allows them to feel in control of their world. But when someone matters to them, you'll notice cracks in that system. They begin to bend the very boundaries they once defended so fiercely, and that shift is not accidental. It's a quiet invitation for you to notice that you hold a special place in their life. This might show up in the way they communicate. An avoidant who normally keeps conversations shallow may suddenly open up about a personal experience or allow you to see a side of them they usually keep hidden. They might share details about their family, their fears, or their past, topics they generally keep locked away. For them, this is not casual oversharing. It's a deliberate step outside their usual rule of emotional self-protection. It means they're willing to risk being seen, and that risk is a signal that they want something more with you. You'll also see this in their routines. Avoidants thrive on independence, often sticking firmly to their schedules and preferences. Yet, when they start adjusting those routines for you, staying longer in your company, sacrificing their alone time, or saying yes to plans they'd normally decline, it's their way of showing you that you're important enough to disrupt their carefully guarded patterns. To most, it might seem small, but for an avoidant, flexibility is a big deal. It's their unspoken way of saying, "You matter enough for me to step outside my comfort zone." Even in the way they interact physically, the rules start to bend. Maybe they usually avoid touch, yet they allow you to brush against them without pulling away. Perhaps they don't like people entering their personal space, but they stand closer than usual when you're around. These subtle shifts are signals of trust, signs that the boundaries they once defended are softening specifically for you. Breaking their own rules is the avoidance version of a confession. They won't tell you directly that they want closeness, but their actions will reveal it. They're essentially saying, "I usually don't do this, but with you, it feels different." And when you notice these broken rules, understand that it's your cue. They're ready for you to move closer, even if they can't bring themselves to ask for it. Another secret signal avoidants give when they want you to make a move is found in their sudden availability. Normally, people with avoidant tendencies guard their time and independence with fierce determination. They thrive on solitude, they value their personal space, and they rarely rearrange their schedules for others. It's not out of coldness, but out of self-preservation. Their time is their safe zone, their sanctuary, and they protect it carefully. But when they begin to quietly clear space for you, when they choose to be present even when they don't have to be, it's a sign that something is shifting. For an avoidant, making time isn't casual. It's an investment, and it's their way of showing they want you to take the next step. This shift often looks subtle at first. They may linger longer after a conversation ends instead of rushing away like they normally would. They might unexpectedly agree to join you in something they'd usually decline, or they'll stretch their usual boundaries of comfort just to be near you. You'll notice them showing up more often, sometimes even in spaces where they know you'll be, almost as if they're creating opportunities for connection without having to ask directly. That's the essence of their signal. They won't verbalize their desire, but they'll make room for you to enter their world. What makes this so meaningful is how rare it is. An avoidant doesn't open up their schedule lightly, and they don't sacrifice their personal time unless it truly matters. If they're carving out time to see you, or if they're answering your calls and texts quicker than usual, it's not just convenience, it's intentional. They're sending the message. I want to be here, and I want you to notice. It also shows in the way they prioritize you without drawing attention to it. They may subtly rearrange things so they can walk with you, sit beside you, or spend a little extra time together after an event. They might make excuses to stay connected longer, like helping with something small or continuing a conversation that doesn't need to continue. These aren't accidents. They are deliberate ways of making space for closeness while still holding onto the safety of indirectness. When an avoidant becomes unexpectedly available, it's not just about time, it's about trust. They are offering you access to a part of their life that they usually protect. It's an opening, a window, a chance for you to step in. And if you recognize it for what it is, you'll see clearly they're waiting for you to close the distance and make the move they can't bring themselves to initiate. One of the clearest signs that an avoidant wants you to make a move is when they allow gentle vulnerability to slip through their usual armor. Vulnerability is something they normally guard like a secret treasure. They prefer to appear self-sufficient, untouchable, and in control. Sharing emotions or personal details feels risky, even dangerous, because it opens the door to rejection or disappointment. Yet when they feel drawn to you, their walls begin to lower in subtle, cautious ways. They may not suddenly pour out their heart, but you'll notice them revealing small fragments of themselves, just enough to test whether you'll handle it with care. At first, it may be something minor, like mentioning a fear, admitting uncertainty, or telling you about a past experience they wouldn't usually share. These details might seem small on the surface, but for an avoidant, they're big steps. It's their way of saying, I trust you enough to see this part of me. That trust is not given lightly, and when it shows up, it's a clear signal that they want more closeness, but are waiting for you to guide it. You'll also notice vulnerability in the way they express emotions, even indirectly. An avoidant might make a quiet joke about their insecurities or reveal something about their struggles in a way that doesn't seem heavy. This is their attempt to open up while still protecting themselves. They're watching carefully to see how you respond, whether you dismiss it, exploit it, or accept it with warmth. If you respond with reassurance, they'll feel safer, and that safety encourages them to let more of their true self emerge. Sometimes vulnerability appears through non-verbal signals as well. A softer tone in their voice, a pause before admitting something personal, or even a nervous gesture can all reveal that they're letting you in past their usual guard. These moments are fleeting but powerful. For an avoidant, vulnerability is not a slip, it's a choice. And when they choose to show you that softer side, it means you've reached a place few others ever have. Gentle vulnerability is their way of extending an invitation. They won't ask outright for you to come closer, but by showing you pieces of their inner world, they're quietly saying, I'm letting you in. I want you to notice. I want you to meet me halfway. And when you do, it becomes the bridge they've been waiting for you to cross. An avoidant rarely makes the first move outright, but when they secretly want you to take the lead, they begin to use indirect initiation. This is their way of nudging the door open without fully stepping through it themselves. Instead of saying what they feel, they create moments where the possibility of closeness hovers in the air. To anyone not paying attention, These actions might seem coincidental, but in reality, they're calculated steps, a quiet language of hints designed to encourage you to close the gap. You may notice this in small physical gestures. An avoidant who normally avoids touch might accidentally brush your hand when passing something to you, or they might lean a little closer than usual while talking. These gestures are rarely random. They're safe ways of testing your reaction, of asking without words, will you take this further? They're signaling interest while still giving themselves the cover of plausible denial. If you respond positively, they'll feel reassured. If you don't, they can retreat without feeling exposed. Indirect initiation also shows up in conversation. They might ask questions that subtly invite intimacy, like inquiring about your relationships, your feelings, or your opinions on closeness. Sometimes they'll leave their sentences half finished, as though waiting for you to step in and complete the thought. They'll tease lightly, challenge you playfully, or set up scenarios where your response determines how much deeper things go. They don't say it directly, but their words create openings for connection, each one an invitation disguised as casual conversation. Even their presence becomes a kind of initiation. They may position themselves so they're near you more often, linger in your space a little longer than necessary, or create situations where you're left alone together. For someone so protective of their independence, these small orchestrations are deliberate. They're laying the groundwork for you to act, hoping you'll pick up on the opportunity. What makes indirect initiation so telling is its mix of courage and fear. The avoidant wants connection badly enough to step outside their usual patterns, but they still can't risk the full vulnerability of taking charge. So, they leave you a trail of clues, gestures, and half steps, hoping you'll recognize them for what they are. When you do, and when you respond with confidence, you're giving them the gift they've been waiting for, someone strong enough to lead while they allow themselves to follow. When you piece all these signals together, a clear picture begins to emerge. Avoidants may never openly admit what they feel, but their body betrays them, their eyes reveal more than their words, their boundaries bend, their time becomes available, their guard drops just enough, and their actions set the stage for you to take the lead. Every signal is a quiet plea wrapped in restraint. A way of saying, I want you closer, but I need you to be the one who moves first. The truth is, avoidants crave connection just as deeply as anyone else, but fear makes them cautious. That's why their invitations come disguised as subtle shifts and indirect gestures. To those who don't understand, these signs may seem insignificant or confusing. But to those who pay attention, they're unmistakable. They are signals of trust, vulnerability, and hope. If you recognize these patterns and respond with patience and confidence, you'll unlock something rare, a side of the avoidant that very few people ever get to see. They don't give themselves away easily, but when they do, it means you've earned a place beyond the walls they've built. And in that space, you'll find the truth. Their silence is not disinterest. It's a challenge for you to see what they cannot say. When you answer that challenge, you're not just making a move, you're meeting them in the hidden language of closeness they've been speaking all along.